So it is now my pleasure to award our Distinction in International Law and Affairs Award to Anna Огренчуk. And before I do so, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about Anna and why we've chosen her as a recipient of this award in particular. Our International Section Award is intended for leaders in international affairs who embody the values of professionalism and dedication to the rule of law, and who've made a major contribution to the global development of international law. Anna is president of the Ukrainian Bar Association. She's also co-founder and managing partner of LCF Law Group, a leading Ukrainian law firm. I first met her during a virtual event that our two associations did in December 2021, several months before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I learned at the time that the Ukrainian Bar Association is a voluntary national organization created 20 years ago, and that their goals are multifold. They advocate for the rule of law, for the protection of human rights, and also the development of the legal profession, including the rights of lawyers. After February of last year, their mission expanded to using legal systems to resist Russia's aggression against Ukraine. That expanded effort also gave us an opportunity to work more closely with Anna. Last year, she joined the leadership team of the International Section Executive Committee as co-chair of our chapter in Ukraine. She's also very active in our Ukraine Task Force, which was created last February, by then Chair Ed Lency, to serve as a point of convening between the two organizations and others who wish to support Ukraine. And while her work spans a number of topics, she's been at the forefront of advocating for the creation of a special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. And among the various goals, this tribunal would allow for justice and accountability for the continued aggression against Ukrainians by the Russians. It would also address an area of international law which currently falls outside the scope of existing legal infrastructure, which is the crime of aggression. Personally, I find Anna's commitment and leadership on international law to be inspiring and reminds us all that we can each play an important role in this profession. And as many of you may know, if you follow her on social media, somehow she manages to be everywhere. She's joined us as a speaker at various VAR International Section conferences, last year in Madrid, New York, and London, and she's been similarly active in numerous international bar associations. And she does this at a time when she was compelled to relocate her family outside of Ukraine, and she continues her work even on days when she's in Kiev and wakes up to loud explosions near her office and house, as she did 3 months ago when the Russians escalated their assaults on Kiev city center. She and I have had telephone conversations about the fine points of international law when it's well past midnight in her time zone. These are just a few examples of her dedication and continued persistence around the international rule of law and her dedication to international law in general. Her dedication is unparalleled, and I am so pleased today to be able to present this award to you, Anna. We'll be sure to send it to you so that you receive it, and would love to turn the floor over to you to hear your thoughts on the international law and rule of law today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aziz, for your kind introduction, for your kind words. And dear colleagues, it's a true honor for me to receive this award today. Our work on strengthening the rule of law in Ukraine takes place in very unfortunate circumstances. For almost a year, Russian missiles have continued hitting civil infrastructure and destroying residential buildings in Kiev, Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Dnipro, and so many other Ukrainian cities. They continue killing women and children and cause shortages of electricity and heating in Ukrainian homes. We have never imagined that Ukraine will become the center of a war between the rule of law and lawlessness, between democracy and autocracy, and between, in general, good and evil. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to NYSBA team, President Sherry Waller, Professor Aziz Shkelabi, Scott Carson, Ed Lency, Sergei Koshovsky, Drew Roberts, and so many others who were by our side from the very beginning of the full-scale invasion and throughout these terrible months for my country. In almost 1 year of the work together, we have managed to build a strong network of lawyers who urge their governments to increase economic sanctions against the aggressor states. We significantly advanced with the accountability and damages mechanism. As Aziz mentioned, NYSBA became the first international legal association that urged the UN General Assembly to establish the special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. And we do hope that other organizations will support and join NYSBA's message, showing the true role of the legal community. Since the very first days of the war, NYSBA established an immigration task force that grew to become a national volunteer network. You have become legal consultants for hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees, and you helped with the issues of migration legislation, and you continue to fulfill the social mission and expand the areas of legal assistance. I'm especially grateful for the support of Ukrainian lawyers. My colleagues were forced to leave their homes and businesses due to hostilities and occupation. But because of international support, they have safe places to stay, access to education and jobs, and connection to lawyers whom they can consult with. Together with NYSBA, Ukrainian Bar Association expanded internationally, and now we are the voice of Ukrainian legal community, a voice that speaks multiple languages. It is our joint work that brought results. This is why this award belongs not just to me or Ukrainian Bar Association, but to all brave men and women, attorneys, judges, prosecutors, notaries, and so many others who united against aggressors and used the law as their weapon. It belongs to Ukrainian and foreign lawyers who, in the face of the most outrageous international crimes, showed solidarity, unity, and remained humans. It was an honor for me to work with each of you this year, to intensify cooperation in the field of human rights protection, to get to know many of you personally, and to start an important work on restoring justice and bringing to justice those accountable for committing the most serious international crimes. We are united by our faith in the rule of law and justice, and by our conviction that the power of law is no less powerful than weapons. It's not only the Ukrainian justice system, but the whole international law and international legal order that face unprecedented challenges. I strongly believe that the future of Ukraine, as well as all the Western civilization, depends on how we will manage to overcome these challenges. The events in Ukraine are being addressed by the world's legal community, permanent judicial institution, International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, European Court of Human Rights are currently reviewing Russia's actions. However, this is not enough. International law was not only not able to prevent the war, but also it wasn't able to stop it. In order to prevent similar atrocities in the future, the system of international law has to change now. Preventive mechanisms have to be reviewed and improved, as well as the United Nations Security Council mandate. The regulatory framework of public international law has to evolve so that to address ecocide, cyber attacks, the use of irregular military forces, and the other new modalities of war. The mandate of ICC has to be improved so that in the future it could review the crime of aggression if it was to happen. A universal compensation mechanism needs to be established at the international level. Finally, we welcome the US recognition of the Russian Wagner mercenary force as a transnational criminal organization. And I invite all members of the international section to advocate for the similar decisions of their respective governments. It takes courage to suggest and to advocate for such structural changes now. However, I'm convinced that I'm surrounded by like-minded people, and together we will make it happen. So despite of the horrors of the war, we are united as never. Thank you again for such honor to have this award. And I'm saying glory to Ukraine and glory to everyone who stands with Ukraine, and my regards from Kiev and from all Ukrainian lawyers. Thank you.